Hello, and thank you for joining us tonight for the Southern New Hampshire University Career Services and the Virginia Values Veterans V3 virtual career event. We're excited to have you here in this new platform that we're using, InSpace. Individuals with accessibility needs requiring accommodations may reach out to the following. Online students can reach out to oac@snhu.edu or 866-305-9430. Campus students can reach out to cac@snhu.edu or call 603-644-3118. Any Southern New Hampshire University staff and faculty can reach out to hr@snhu.edu. A request for live captioning or live ASL interpreting requires at least 3 weeks advance notice. And please connect with us at coseycareer@snhu.edu or call us at 888-672-1458. The Virginia Values Veterans V3 program helps employers develop and implement successful long-term strategies to recruit, hire, and retain Virginia veterans. Hiring veterans is not only the right thing to do, but also a smart business decision. The knowledge and abilities today's service members and veterans gain in our modern military make them an extremely valuable talent pool for companies that wish to grow and improve organizational performance. For more information, visit dvsv3.com.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the CarMax room here in the InSpace platform. My name is Jen Vincent, and I am one of the career advisors here with SNHU Career Services. I'll be your room moderator today, and we'll be keeping an eye out for any questions in the chat. InSpace is a new interactive platform that we are testing, and it's meant to reflect a similar feeling for what you might experience in a live conference center. You will notice you can click around and drag your participant bubble and move around the space. It looks like you've already found your space. So what you can also do is you can find your camera and microphone permissions down here. Let me just move my bubble to show you how to do it. So your microphone is over here as well as your camera. As your host, I can mute your individual microphone if there's too much background noise coming in. You can also raise your hand with the icon down here. And when called on, you can ask a question directly. Just turn on your mic to ask your question as we go along or type your questions in the chat box. The chat is located over here near the home icon. So I'm going to show you right here. Near the home icon, you'll see the chat function. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Keith Fox with CarMax. Take it away. I have you, Keith. Do you have for my business students, do you have like a management and trainee program?
We do. So depending, and it varies from time to time. We have manager and training positions for buyers, which is kind of the first entry into our merchandising division. We also have service operations support managers in training, again, over that reconditioning of vehicles. So those are two of the areas where we have primarily where we have the manager and training opportunities.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And do you guys have like a huge need for a particular role at this time?
It really fluctuates. Okay. And by region as well. You know, we might have a high need for inventory or reconditioning associates in our Atlanta market, for instance. Yeah.
Okay.
But it changed. You know, the website is updated daily, you know, with to stay current.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for having me join you all for this event today. As you see, I'm Keith Fox. I'm a senior recruiter at CarMax. I've been with the company for 2 years now. And my sole purpose with CarMax is to connect with transitioning service members, veterans, and military spouses, and discuss with them potential career opportunities with CarMax. So I do that, of course, in online events such as this, as well as participating in person at several job sites around the country, most on military installations. Um, and then a little bit about myself before I get into overview of the company. I too am a veteran, retired Air Force. I was an avionics technician prior to spending several years in recruiting service. So that's kind of how I cut my teeth and parlayed that experience into the civilian sector, and have been in recruiting since 2005 in the civilian setting for various companies, ranging from nonprofits to, Fortune 500 companies such as CarMax. CarMax itself. Oh, I see some others coming in. Let me make sure I invite them over. All
No
right.
worries, I can do that. Oh, never
Okay.
mind. Wait, are they in?
All right. So I'm going to share a quick. I'm going to share a slide deck that kind of gives an overview of the company. And certainly, anyone feel free to stop me at any point. I don't want this to feel like a lecture. I want to be able to engage and answer any questions that you might have. Um, And one caveat I want to throw out as well is, I'm glad that you stopped by to see me, but I would certainly encourage you to talk to all employers. And this goes the same. I would recommend that same approach if you're at a physical in-person career site, because a lot of times job seekers may see the company, know of the brand, and maybe make some assumptions based on the end product or service, that those are the only job or career opportunities that are available. In our case, people, they might detract or shy away because they don't want to sell cars. Well, I don't sell cars. I'm in human resources. We have IT division. We have transportation, logistics, marketing, public affairs, sales, of course. But again, back to my main point, all large corporations have various functions that support the end product and service. So don't shy away from discovering opportunities with all employers and see what might be the best fit for you. Let me go ahead and pull up this slideshow here. And hopefully everyone is able to see that now. Can I get a thumbs up maybe, or?
It's up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So let's see. So we are the original industry disruptor, meaning what we do is, we don't haggle on price when you go to a CarMax location, or if you visit our career, or I'm sorry, our website to start looking for vehicles. The price that you see advertised is the price that you're going to spend. So there's no pressure in it to see how you might go about purchasing your next vehicle. We are actually the largest retailer of used cars in the country. We have over 240 locations in 41 states. And we are also one of the top loan originators. So we can actually provide CarMax auto financing. We have our own CarMax auto finance group that's based in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's all they do is originate and process loans. We are a large company, Fortune 500 list. We have actually been in business for 30 years now. We actually celebrated at the New York Stock Exchange. We are publicly traded under the stock symbol KMX. So we rang the bell last year to celebrate our 30th year. One bit of trivia real quick. Not sure if you all might recall or remember Circuit City. Circuit City was our parent company, and we sprung off of that and began to sell cars here in the Richmond, Virginia area where we're headquartered. And that, again, was the headquarters for Circuit City at the time. So that's where I sit. I'm in Richmond, Virginia area. But again, we have locations, a large footprint all across the country. Large employee base, 33,000 associates nationwide. And this last bullet really, really speaks highly of the company culture and making sure that we take care of people, making sure we do things the right way. To make the Fortune 100 best companies to work for list, it once, is a great accolade, but we've made that list for 20 years in a row now. And what our leadership does to make sure that we are constantly monitoring how well things are going, or maybe how things could possibly be improved upon is twice a year they send out what's called an associate voice survey. And it's a fairly brief survey, but all 33,000 associates are asked for inputs on what's going well and where are there areas for improvement. And so once those survey results come back, they're summarized and all the leadership gets together and they take action. Or there's some chat in there rather. Let's see. Yes, yes. Thanks, Jennifer. Jen, you've answered. Do we have locations in Georgia and Alabama? We do, in fact, have locations there. Some of the positions that I mentioned in terms of human resources and IT and marketing, those tend to be based out of our corporate location, again, here in Richmond, Virginia. But some other roles like, say, sales associates, business office associates, inventory, some of our HR, regional HR professionals, those can be store level positions that are based out of locations across the country. All right.
There's one more question in there
Okay.
about remote opportunities.
Yes, it's a good question. So some positions, as long as they're not customer facing, like obviously there's some roles where you have to be physically on site. If you're in a sales position, for instance, or if you are a CDL driver transporting vehicles for CarMax, those are certainly in-person positions, 100% on site. I'm in a hybrid work arrangement currently. Days in the office because I'm fairly close to the corporate location, but several positions, say customer service or customer experience consultants, those positions you can see from time to time listed as either hybrid or fully remote.
Hi, you can go ahead and drag your circle over to a circle inside the box.
Hybrid work arrangements are allowed for that position. So it'll definitely be spelled out in each job that allows for remote. All right. So again, a bit more about the company. Again, our purpose really goes around integrity, being transparent, and treating customers fairly. And that's how we've continued to grow and capture more, market share in terms of retail sales for used vehicles. Oops. And again, just some of the values: do the right thing, put people first, win together, and go for greatness. Those are really the foundation of how we conduct ourselves on a day in and day out basis. We also like to certainly contribute to all the communities where we are located. So we'll be involved with kaboom activities, for instance. That's where we may, in a particular community, they may be underserved, go out and build or revitalize a playground, build a garden. I had the experience to actually go out and establish a garden recently in an area that was underserved and pretty much had like a food desert situation, unfortunately, where they couldn't get fresh produce. So those are the things that again make the company appealing, that they do give back. You can see we've continually make the best employers among veteran employers as well. We're military friendly. We do have some particular program. Now, everyone is out of service, correct? Is that correct to assume? No one's active duty?
Anyone, all the students who are here, feel free. You can come off your mic and feel free to chime in.
We have a couple in the chat that said that they're a veteran and one is active duty.
Okay. The reason I ask about, if maybe some that are still transitioning out of service, we do have some programs specifically tailored towards making that transition a bit, easier if you are interested in being in certain roles in the auto industry. We do have a skill bridge that's part of the DoD skill bridge program that will have you on site with us at one of our locations for 12 weeks to be trained as a vehicle mechanic. And then we also have a corporate fellowship program that is about the same length. And in that particular opportunity, you will be trained to become a service operations manager, overseeing the reconditioning of vehicles at one of our locations. All right. So again, just some of the things that we're involved in here. I like to highlight those things. It's good to know what companies kind of stand for and where they invest their interest in their time. Is another really solid indicator of how much we're involved in the community. $65 million were issued out in grants, meaning that money was not, in a sense, a loan that was expected to be repaid. A lot of times what happens is we will partner with American Red Cross and disaster response. If there's any sort of, catastrophic weather like we're experiencing now out in Oklahoma and, the Plains states, where some of our associates that may be negatively impacted we'll issue grants to them to kind of help them get back on their feet. Yes, Jen?
So sorry, just want to give everyone that there is a 2-minute warning. We will start the next session at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, but if you want to stay, definitely do. But if you want to hop onto a different employer, just head back on over to the home button to go to a different employer chat room. Just want to give you guys a heads up. Thanks, Keith.
Yep, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and get through these again. Some of just want to show just high-level benefits. We do have very competitive compensation, depending on the roles. It would be based on your experience, and we factor in, the region where you would work in terms of cost of living and so forth. Very healthy, up to 6% match, dollar for dollar, to your 401k. We also have an employee stock purchase plan, which is a great benefit to have. Comprehensive benefits with medical, dental, vision, flexible spending accounts, tuition assistance, and there's more as well. Let's see. And then just a broad overview of some of the areas. Like I mentioned early on, don't just kind of think CarMax is just about sales. Yes, at the store locations, we have sales positions, but we also have people that work through all the transactions to make sure that the paperwork is done correctly in the business office. We have merchandising associates, and service operations is, again, around the vehicle reconditioning. But at the corporate position, we have all these roles here: accounting and finance, HR. It's kind of something for everyone, really. Just kind of depends on your interest.
Perfect. Thank you. Looks like we're going to start.
There's some contact information. Last and not least, I would certainly love anyone that would like more information to email me. There's my email address, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I love getting connections on LinkedIn to answer any additional questions. Gabriella, I see a question.
Yes. So for logistics, do you guys offer any positions for remote as well? I know you were talking more specific with technology, but is there opportunities for logistics for remote or hybrid?
Yeah, so logistics, that's going to be one of those positions where operationally, even if you're, say, a logistics manager, you would need to be on site to oversee the route planning for a team of 30 to 35 drivers that are going out transferring vehicles from one CarMax location to another, so our customers can have that vehicle available to test drive and potentially purchase. If it's not at their local store, they can have it, put on a transport vehicle, Class A commercial truck, transport it to a store that's near them to then test drive it and purchase it.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi,
Any other
Keith.
questions?
There's one more question in the chat box. One student asked, if I want to get started in the IT department, would I still have to start with sales? I don't have any customer service experience and talking isn't my strong suit.
Not at all. No, if you're going to be hired into a technology role, that's where you're going to start from day one. We don't kind of put you through boot camp to have exposure to sales.
Ha!
No, we're going to hire you as a, cybersecurity specialist or, network engineer or whatever the case is within IT. If you're hired for IT, you're going to be doing that from day one. And we have AI developers as well within the technology space.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Keith, I have a question. So as a career advisor, we do get students that apply to these job openings, and one of the frustrations that I do hear a lot is they don't hear back from an employer. Just kind of want to know, like, what is a follow-up with CarMax?
Yeah, our process. So I'm actually on the sourcing team. Different organizations will be set up, their structure may be different, but sourcers provide leads to the recruiters. And then the recruiters make that initial contact. So there'll be an initial screening to see, if they check all the initial boxes, essentially meet all the mandatory requirements. And then the next step would be a formal interview with the hiring manager and/or the hiring manager's team. The short answer to your question is that we contact and follow up 100% with all applicants, whether it's a sorry, you don't meet the requirements notification, email, or an actual follow up by phone. But they'll definitely get a response. If it's a positive response that you meet the requirements, yes, it's going to be an initial call, a screening, and then get into the formal interview process.
That is awesome. Like I said, most places don't mind if it's a rejection. It's just to know, So that's
Yeah, I
good.
understand. Absolutely. I've been there, and just kind of had to feel like your application is going into a black hole. There's no sort of closure. That's not the way we operate.
Awesome. Again, students, if you have any questions, feel free to unmic yourself, or you can drop your questions in the chat box. We have about 8 minutes left, so feel free to ask whatever your heart desires. I do have one more question while we wait.
Yes.
So you guys, does CarMax have an ATS or an applicant tracking system? And if so, do you read every resume, or do you really encourage these students to tailor their resume to the job posting?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, we have we use Workday as our ATS. And so the initial review of the applications that come in rather, is we don't have an automated process that looks for keywords or anything like that that's going to send a rejection letter. Each application is going to be reviewed, and the resumes are looked at to see if those basic qualifications are met.
That's actually really encouraging to hear, because so many students get disqualified for not having the right words, even though they meet the minimum qualifications. So that's good.
Yeah, we are actually incorporating a new platform as well for outreach. So once we actually had the applications come into our ATS, we can then set up follow-up communications that might go out. The first one may go out this week, but then people are busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, that email might go in the spam folder, or they just didn't get a chance to read it. So they might set up a follow-up a week from now or 2 weeks from now to have a secondary message go out. Hey, I see your background, your experience is a good fit for this role. I want to see if you would like to set up a time to interview for the position. And in my case, what I do is I send a link from my email account that has a link to my Outlook calendar.
Hmm.
So anyone that receives that email can then look at my calendar and see spaces that are available on my calendar to book a time for us to talk.
That's incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Atticus, I see that you got yourself unmuted. Do you have a question?
Yep. Yeah, I do. How you doing, Keith?
Thanks.
I missed the whole presentation because I was bouncing around, but my main question is, what will be the good time frame for applying to non-applications? Like, as for myself specifically, I'm coming from Okinawa. I leave in 5 weeks to go to Fredericksburg, Virginia, and pretty much I'm trying to lock on something before I get there. I was always applying like 3-4 months in advance. Some would entertain an interview, some would be a rejection for a reason I don't know. So I was wondering what would be a good time to apply.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you said 5 weeks, you'd be back?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
You're
also with that,
oh, I'm sorry, go on.
with that, because I'm retiring military, I won't be able to start working until late July because like terminal leave and those obligations. Gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, you're in that window now where it would certainly be advisable for you to apply. And the reason why I say that is it's not too far out for you to get into the interview process. And again, depending on the role, how many layers there are to the interview process. But by the time the interviews are conducted, we're going to interview more than one person, just to be transparent. So it might take a week or so to get through everyone that's scheduled for interviews. So that takes a week off of your window, right? Your time frame. Right. And then say you're selected, you're offered a position. It's perfectly fair to say, hey, I need a couple days to think about it, right? Think about the offer and provide a decision on that offer. So you're well into a week and a half, maybe. And then say if you accept the offer, we then will, of course, we'll do a background check. So that might take another week. You don't necessarily have to wait for that background check to run its course and be completed before starting. Right. But it's realistic for a hiring manager, if they find that you're the ideal candidate, to hold that position 3 to 4 weeks. For you to be available to start. Anything longer than say a month, then it starts to get maybe a little bit excessive that they want to hire somebody sooner. But again, if you're the ideal candidate and you're within 3 to 4 weeks of being available, that's certainly a good time, because if you were gainfully actively employed with another employer, we're going to expect the same thing that if you were leaving CarMax, we will want you to give us 2 weeks notice as a formality, just as a courtesy. So we wouldn't expect you not to give your current employer that same grace, that notification. So build in that time as well. So again, 3-4 weeks out, or even 5 in your case, that's not too far out to start applying for positions.
Okay. Thank you. I'll connect with you on LinkedIn too. We'll send a request out.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm the only Keith Fox at CarMax, so I'm easy to find.
All right.
I have one more question in the chat. What is the best way to get started at CarMax in the IT department? I'm looking at some of the open positions, and they're all senior level positions.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Yeah, a lot of times our positions are sort of senior. Senior architects, for instance, come to mind. If you don't have that level of experience, you just have to build your resume and keep CarMax in mind. I wish I had an answer that would kind of be more palatable, that you could kind of work your way into it. But if there's certain years of experience and requirement in certain applications and development, they're really not going to yield and hire you without those requirements. We do have, at certain periods, depending on the need, we partner with Microsoft Software and Systems Academy, or I may have that backwards. Microsoft Systems and Software Academy. That is a great program that Microsoft offers, and there's 3 tracks I know cloud application administration is one, cybersecurity is another, and I am drawing a blank on the third specialty. But look into MSSA, Microsoft Systems and Software Academy. What they do is once their graduates are approaching, once their students rather are approaching graduation, is they release all the students' applications in a cohort to prospective employers. Technology Academy, where we would bring you on board, and that is a role, an opportunity where you really don't have to have advanced experience. You can kind of start off entry level and build your career with CarMax in that technology space.
And Katarina, you also have the option, if you don't see any entry level IT roles, they do have a job alert function on their career page. You can always just pop in your email address and the role, and if a job lead pops up, it'll be sent straight to your inbox, so it saves you a lot of time.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
All right, looks like we are at the 1 minute mark. Kamarki, do you have any questions for Keith before we hop out?
No, I just joined this room right now. I'm looking at the chat to see if there's any information I can gather.
Sure. And I also posted the career page on the
Okay.
top, closer to the top. You should see a box with the web page on there. And he also dropped
Okay.
his contact information as well too.
Yeah, feel free to reach
Awesome.
out to me, Kamarki, if you have any, I know you missed most of the presentation, but if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn and maybe schedule a time one-on-one to ask any questions, I'm open to that as well.
Any final questions for Keith before we wrap up? All right. Well, seeing none, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us tonight and bearing with us with this new InSpace. I hope you liked it. So see more of that. If you guys need any additional support at this time, feel free to contact us. I'm going to drop that in the chat box. And then once you guys leave, you just click on this red door located on the top right here where I'm jiggling and leave the session. All right. Thank you guys, everyone, and have a safe and great weekend.
Welcome, everyone, to the Virginia Department of Social Sciences room here in the InSpace platform. My name is Jennifer Marin. I am a career advisor with SNHU. I will be your room moderator today, and I will be keeping an eye out for any questions that pop up in the chat. InSpace is a new interactive platform that we're using, and it's meant to reflect a similar feel for what you might experience in a live conference center. You'll notice you can click and drag your icon around, so you can come right on in and sit in a little circle. You can find your camera and microphone permissions are all over here. These are the ones that you would use. The ones in the upper corner are for the whole room. So if you want to turn your mic on or off, you would do it down here. You can raise your hand too with the icon down here. It's the second one up from the bottom. Just turn on your mic when it's time to ask questions, or you can type your question in the chat and I will be happy to speak that for you. So at this point, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Swapna Banda. She is here with us from the Virginia Department of Social Sciences. Swapna, you can come right on in this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Is it clear now? Yep. So thank you for the introduction. So I am, it's Virginia Department of Social Services. I am HR analyst. Also the work title is talent acquisition consultant. So I support both information technology and non-information technology divisions hiring needs. So basically we are located in Virginia in Richmond area. So our mission of VDSS is to design and deliver high quality human services that help Virginians achieve safety, independence, and overall well-being. We also have 120 local offices across the state, and we deliver variety of services and benefits to over 2.2 million Virginians every year. So yeah, I am here to help if anyone is looking for job opportunities, and I can walk you through how can you apply for the job opportunities. Denise or Janilla or Carson, if you would like to introduce yourself, feel free.
Hi, I'm Denise, and I'm here in SNHU Career with Jen. But yeah, I think it would be great for the other participants if you could let them know what they need to do in order
Okay.
to make application.
Sure, definitely. So I will be sharing the link for our job openings that are open at VDSS. I will share the link in the chat. So in order for the applicant to be considered for any position, they have to submit their application online, especially the required information that is there in the application needs to be submitted. So then each applicant will be screened against the minimum qualifications, and who all are screened in will be definitely invited for the interviews.
So maybe feel free to talk a little bit about some of the roles you're looking for and some of the skills that you look for, qualifications.
Yes, 1 second. Give me a second. So basically, we are hiring a bunch of support enforcement specialists and support enforcement specialist seniors for our division of child support enforcement. Also, we have IT openings like systems analyst advanced, application developer analyst advanced positions. So also I see that we have some we have assistant statistical analyst position open. So it's a part-time position. So it's a position with some niche skills. So if anybody is interested or if anyone matches to the requirement, they will be definitely invited for the interview. And I am also sharing my contact and LinkedIn LinkedIn profile link here. This is my LinkedIn. My email ID is and if anyone is from the law background, we may have some openings for the internship opportunities in the summer.
And what are your internship opportunities like?
So we are still working on the agency hiring request. Once it is approved, the positions will be published on to the Virginia jobs.
Do you have any remote positions as well, Swapna? I know that's a common question
Yes,
that we're
right
asked.
now. Okay, right now I have remote opening only for the IT division. It's application development analyst advanced position. So we are looking for someone with SQL, Power BI who can generate the reports and dashboards, visualizations, all those experience. It's 100% remote.
Welcome, Annie. Welcome, Wendy. You can type any questions in the chat if you have any, or you can come off mute if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Annie. I'm in Southern New Hampshire University online student. I'm working on my master's in business, but I have 22 plus years in the mental health field, and I'm looking for a new change in my career.
Okay, so hi Annie, thank you for joining. So are you looking for opportunities towards the business management side, or what type of specific roles are you looking for?
I'm looking to work with children and families.
Okay, then VDSS may be the right company for you to work on. So I shared the link for our online openings. So I will again share just in case if you missed it. So you may look for the job openings with the support enforcement specialist. They are specific to Division of Child Support Enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. And I shared my contact information as well in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
So can you speak a little bit, Swapna, to your interview process, perhaps? What is that like once a candidate has submitted their resume for an application?
Sure. So once we receive the applications, we will review them after the closing date of the particular position and the assigned TA consultant. They will screen the applications based on the minimum qualifications. For example, if the position requires 5 minimum qualifications, who all qualify those 5 qualifications, they will be invited for the interviews. So most of our positions are virtual interviews. Sometimes there will be one round of interviews, sometimes there will be 2 rounds. If there are 2 rounds, the first round is phone interview, and if it's only one round, it will be a panel interview. So either 3 or 4 panel members, which is basically a diverse interview panel. They will be interviewing the candidates. And once the completion of the interviews, they will submit the interview questionnaire and assessment forms to me, and they will identify the finalist. So once the finalist is identified, if he or she is interested, then the next step will be reference check. So we usually do the reference check from the current supervisor and past supervisor. Based on the reference checks, if they are satisfactory, then we will move forward to the background check. So it's a fingerprint based criminal history background check. If the background check report is cleared, then we will work on the offer proposal, and then we will immediately extend a verbal offer. If it is accepted, then the official offer documents will be sent to the finalists. So our start dates are 10th and 25th of every month. So even if it's a holiday, the following Monday will be the start date.
Excellent. And so about how long is that process? Did it take 4 to 6 weeks?
So our goal to fill it's 50 days.
50
So
days.
we follow the time to fill tracker. So our goal is to fill the position within 50 days. Sometimes some positions take shorter than that, and some positions may take, if there is a delay in the background checks, because it depends on the history. For a few people we will receive in 1 day, for a few people we will receive in 2 weeks. So depending on the background check completion, sometimes it may go beyond 50 days, but we always aim to meet that 50-day tracker.
Perfect. And what are some skills that you think are really important for a candidate applying to work in the Department of Social Services?
So as the name implies, social services, someone who is more interested in the services, especially the human services, because our programs are related to child, like adoption programs, and also in schools you may be aware of nutrition supplement assistance programs. Such kind of programs we usually participate. So who are more service oriented, for those people it's a best organization to work with.
Great. Welcome, Anthony. I know we've had some guests come in and out of the room. If you have any questions, you can type them right in the chat. I'm happy to ask. In just a few minutes, at about 6:30, we'll be able to switch to another employer room. So this is a great opportunity to ask your questions before we wrap this session up.
Hi, Anthony.
And Swapna has also been kind enough to share her contact information in the chat as well. So make sure you're taking that down as well.
So Jennifer, if someone joins little late, do they have access to the chat history?
They will. They will have access to the chat history if they go ahead over. If you are joining late, Anthony, you can go ahead over here and hover next to the house. 2 over is the little message box for the chat. If you click on that, you should have access. And we've just been talking a little bit about some of the roles that the Department of Social Services will be looking for, and some of the skills that they're looking for as well.
So some of our programs are basically TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, SNAP, we call it as SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Medicaid, Adoption, Child Care Assistance, Refugee Resettlement Services, Child and Adult Protective Services. So our common vision is to protect all the Virginians and provide the resources and services that they need to shape strong future for themselves, their families, as well as communities.
Since we have a few minutes, Shapna, do you want to speak to wrap it up a little bit about your journey at the Virginia Department of Social Services? Like what brought you there, how long you've been there?
Oh, sure. Oh, it's been exactly 1 year I am here. So I joined here last year, May 10, and this is my first job in the government sector. Earlier to this, all my experience was into the private sector. So this is a major transformation for me. So every day it's a new learning. I have been enjoying. So the policies, procedures, everything is set in place. I don't have to ask or depend on anybody. I just have to refer the document, work on my own. So, and I have very friendly team members to help me with if I get any questions, and they transition me very well so that I never feel that I came from private industry to the government industry. So it's a smooth transition completely.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Any other questions before we wrap up this session? Okay, well, this is just a heads up that we'll be wrapping up this first session. You can choose a second employer to go attend by going to the little house icon over here and scrolling down and choosing another employer. Let's see here. You're also welcome to head out if you need to. You would be heading out by going to this orange door. When you do go to the red orange door, just make sure you click leave session and not end the session, because that would end it for everybody. So that is your way of exiting. But right now, before we wrap up, I'd like to thank Swapna. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing this information with our students and guests. And I'm excited for round 2. So we'll give a round of applause.
My pleasure.
And we'll let everybody move on to their next employer, and we'll start our next session. Thank you, everybody.
I have been with the city of Newport News now for about 9 months, and I actually came on as a generalist. And so in the city, the generalist is involved in investigations and employee relations and that sort of thing. But I was very motivated as I came on board and saw obviously the need for talent, but also saw some of the things that the city had to offer its employees. And it made me feel very confident that I would be able to sort of market that, be an advocate, and be a liaison for candidates for the city, because the total compensation package that they offer is outstanding. So one thing that we all look to, right, is that paycheck, and are we going to pay our bills, and what does our budget look like? And that's human nature. But I do think there are individuals that lose sight of a compensation package in total. And if you're really savvy and you know about, those good state jobs or federal jobs, a local government job is very much like that. And so if you go to our HR website, you're going to be able to look at our benefits package and really drill in and see what that looks like. We don't have a calculator right now. We're kind of working on that. But what we do have to offer that I think will get everybody's attention probably for full-time positions, we offer 4 weeks paid time off. So that's twice as much as your typical private or public sector employer. They're typically going to offer you 2 weeks paid time off. So you come in with just under 4 weeks paid time off year one, and then you get 12 holidays. So year one, coming into the city of Newport News, you're going to experience 6.5 weeks paid time off. So right off the bat, I feel like that's something that for someone who's definitely mid-level career or looking to have a significant amount of work-life balance, that should really be a draw for you guys. Another excellent benefit, obviously, is going to be the medical insurance available to you. And there are 2 plans. As a single person, one of those plans is actually going to be free. You will pay no premiums for 12 months, and you will get $750 into a health savings account for you to use as you would like. I'm on that plan for a family of 4. I pay $135 a month for medical, dental, and life. So if you know anything about the health insurance market, that's phenomenal. I worked for another public sector employer for about 10 years. And if I knew what I know now about the city of Newport News, I would have been trying to get on board earlier. I paid about 3 times as much working for another local municipality. So when you look at our job salaries, I would like everybody to keep that in mind, especially when you go into trades or skilled labor. You will find private sector employers will offer you more money. And you're going to not find that across the board, but it may be a pattern. But I just want you to keep in mind with the paid time off and the VRS, Virginia Retirement System benefits that you're getting, in addition to your medical benefits, we have deferred compensation available to you, which is our 457 plan. So you can, play the stock market, if you will, with your own money. And then I think the piece that some people lose sight of, but it might be important to you guys coming into the workforce is, honestly, like, how much does my employer care about me? So in the city of Newport News, we have 3,500 employees, and we actually need 4,000. So we are 500 employees short. And what that means for you guys is a few things. One, you might not be able to do 100% of the job, but if you can do 80% of the job, you have a very good chance of being hired and then supported in the training, and education that you need to bridge that gap. Another great thing is the city has seen the need to allow people flexibility with education and experience. So education in the city generally is going to count for your experience, and your experience is going to count for your education. Only about 15% of our jobs actually require that you have a degree. So if you look at a job description, it will begin requires a bachelor's degree, but I want everybody to read on, because the majority of the time you will see it will say, or an equivalent of education and experience. And what that means is you coming out with a degree, we look at that as real world experience. An individual who's non-degreed can take their real world experience and get a job and be aligned with people who have degrees. So that is something that sets us apart. The other thing that really sets us apart is we make salary offers based off of total experience. So when you fill out your application, you want to make sure that you're filling out that application in total. Include your volunteer work, your summer jobs, your community outreach. We actually make our salary offers based off of everything you bring to the table. So I would take my time with that first application and make sure that you're representing all of your skills and abilities, because it could be the difference between $5,000 or $10,000 a year when HR gets involved and they're starting to vet salary offers. So that's a little unusual to have a government employer with a grade and step scale. Daisy could probably speak to that. A grade and step scale, right? That's doing an abstract analysis of each candidate. And basically we're trying to pay you as much as we can afford to pay you, because we want you to stay. And we think that's a trust build. So I think that really sets the city apart. At the same time, we have a great wellness program. They will pay for you to take your family camping once a year. You can take them bowling once a year. You can take them, we just added fishing and golfing. We have all sorts of different events, wellness events, and challenges and food truck events. So the city really makes it a place where you can feel connected to people, even if there's 30 departments and a lot of different things going on. They show us they appreciate us very consistently with lots of wonderful programs, but they also give us chances to connect. And this is something I wanted to mention to you guys that's new. If you'll see here, we have a bonus program for our CDL drivers. So this is great for individuals that maybe don't know, what they're doing after school, or they're interested in trades work, but they're not ready to commit to an apprenticeship or trades program. Basically, the city of Newport News will train you to be a CDL driver, and we have the Caterpillar equipment to train you on all 9 pieces of equipment. And we actually have a 4-tier career ladder for our equipment operators, and they make a 5 or 10% bump every time they get promoted. So these drivers coming, fresh out of high school, honestly, are making really, really good money if they stay on board with us for 4 or 5 years. And we've just added this bonus. So you come on and you get $500 right away, $750 after the first year, and that continues to increase. And after 4 years, you're going to have a nice little additional bonus. So that's something that is relatively new to the city. We just started this April 1st, but this is really just because there's critical infrastructure, and we need these individuals in the city to have it run optimally. And also the fact that we have this Caterpillar machinery, which we've had for about a year, that allows us to train everybody without risk, right? And that's a really cool thing that sets us apart from some other public sector employers. So if you or any of your friends may have an interest in equipment operation, kind of like virtual reality, right? Video games, but with but with true responsibility, it's really a nice fit. It can be, we have women operators, we have women who have become supervisors, great for, moms, working mothers, because of some of those schedules. So I want to make sure everybody in the group knows about this. And if you're not interested, it's really a great career opportunity. So if you know anyone else who might be, I'd love for you to share that with them. And I'm just going to open it up for questions from anyone.
A quick question that I have, Amy, I was looking at y'all's website before we got started here today, and I noticed that you have internships listed. Could you speak more to the internships?
Sure. So I was hoping when I switched my screen sharing, it would automatically switch for me, but it's not doing that for me. I think I have to stop and go back in. So basically with our internships, they're managed through the departments. They can be for a season, for 3 months, or they can be for up to a year. Our goal is to employ the individual post internship. So I have seen both part-time and full-time positions be held for advertisement because there was a strong intern doing a good bit of the role, and we were hoping we'd be able to give them an opportunity to apply. So we very much work with our interns for continued employment. That is the goal. You can come on board as a veteran through SkillBridge. We are working on a SkillBridge application right now, but you guys can go to the ICMA website, and we are linked up with them, and you would apply just like you would any job really, or internship. And we will, work with ICMA to manage it as a SkillBridge internship. You can also come on basically as a city internship, which are these internships that are out here, and they're open. And honestly, we've got 2 closing tomorrow. So one is going to be our wellness graduate intern that's working in HR with my team, which is a phenomenal team. But that does end tomorrow. And then we have a GIS internship with our IT department. And that one ends tomorrow. So basically our internships are advertised 2 weeks, just like our jobs. HR screens everyone over for minimum qualifications. And then the department starts to set up interviews, and they will do a panel interview. A diverse panel will interview the candidates. Generally, they pick at least 5, and then they'll pick their top candidate and make a job offer. All of our internships are paid. They are well paid, I would say, for internships. The only caveat would be our juvenile services department. Some of those degree-seeking students do need internships to get their degree. And so although we're resistant to it as a city overall, they're kind of still holding on to those unpaid internships in juvenile services. So we had a few of those. They closed recently. But this engineering intern was probably going to get some of you guys' attention possibly. And that actually we did an extended posting on because of the intricacies of the job. So that's going to be open until the end of May. And then I would think a fast turnaround to try to start the person mid-June. And that would, be a great opportunity for someone who's pursuing engineering as a career. But these kind of come and go. They're based off of department need, and they're department driven. But generally our hot time is going to be February to May for internships. And then we kind of have another period at the beginning of the fall with another kind of, a group of internships that come out. But at some point we always have internships available, I would say generally.
That's awesome. I think internships are great and more people should do them. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
I also think, Amy, I was mistaken earlier when I told you that our chat wasn't local just to this room, and I actually believe that it is. So I
Oh,
went ahead and I put the internship link in the chat, but if you have any other links that you mentioned that you wanted to share, I'm 97% positive they'll stay in this space.
oh, okay. Well, I was just trying to find the location where everybody could see what I put, but for some reason I just kept getting oh, if I do all participants.
I think so.
That's just our room because we're sitting in the room. I
Yeah.
was so accustomed to doing it when I was in the other room.
Well,
Okay,
that's the funny thing because I swear last time I
Have
was here that was different, but
Okay, so this is the HR link for all of you guys. What I was going to point out to you, you might see on the screen is, I wouldn't say our application system is super user friendly, but it's like a lot of them that you'll see with other local governments, right? It's part of a Munis. But if you go in the search bar here, I would use this to my advantage because at any given point, we could have 60, 70, or 80 jobs open. And you don't want to be reading tons of job descriptions and losing sight, right, of the right job for you. And job titles can be confusing in a city of our size because some of the departments are very progressive with titles and job descriptions, and others, like something more traditional. So I would recommend using this search bar, typing in the word intern if you're looking for flexibility with part-time, typing in the word part. If you're looking for an admin job, just type in admin, but kind of use that to your advantage a little bit to drill down into the jobs. And these are kind of cool. These are called career sheets. So instead of looking at a really complicated job description, right, with pages and pages of ergonomics and things, you can, if it says click here to learn more, most of our internships have these. It's really easy to find out what are you doing in the job, what are you getting paid, how many weeks is it for? This one's for 12 weeks. What's a good fit for this as far as degree programming, that sort of thing. So anytime that you see the click here to learn more with the blue link, that's going to take you to one of those career sheets. So those are an easy read.
that's awesome. I know I'm a very visual person, so having that be easier to digest would be fantastic.
Yeah, I love Lisa's story. My talent acquisition partner. She said when she was hired, she wasn't even looking for a job, but somebody within her network sent her that. And she said it looked like a party invitation. I don't know why, but we had some different branding then with teal and swirls, and she said it just looked like you were just saying this is the job for you. So I always like how she called it a party invitation.
That's awesome. I love that.
But they're really easy to read, and it's a new thing for us, but a lot of our jobs, so if we go to our part-time jobs, if you guys are looking for some flexibility, we actually have some great admin administrative part-time jobs open right now, which doesn't always happen, but we've got a clerk's position with clerk of courts. Landscape services is hiring an admin tech, and that pays up to 20 an hour. And then we have, this one's kind of a neat one, a historical site assistant. If any of you guys are history buffs and or studying history, that is part-time, but that could be nice to flex, or just a foot in the door job. You guys, there's a reason that expression exists and it's been around forever, because the youth programs actually have 2 part-time jobs open at Parks and Rec, and that's a super dynamic department, a lot of opportunity for growth and promotional situations go on around Parks and Rec. I see a lot of people kind of start there and really grow from there. So yeah, I would definitely use the search feature to your advantage here. If anyone would like to be on my job alert distribution list, I send out job alerts at least once a week. I try to send them out twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. So you would just want to provide your email to me in the chat, or send me an email, and I'll put that out here for you guys. And I will get you on my job distribution list. And that's just the best way to know jobs as soon as they come open. There's links in there that take you right to the jobs, right to the job application. So that, I think, is kind of the way to stay on top of hot jobs, new internships, that sort of thing. But I
That's an
do need
awesome perk.
Yeah, it's just something that Lisa and I kind of do. It's kind of grassroots, right? We're literally manually
Yeah.
copying and pasting, but we think it's worth it. And that's actually how we outreach to a lot of the vet centers,
Mhm.
a lot of the colleges and universities where we have direct representatives. we try to keep them, abreast of what we have to offer too through that job alert. We try to use Google Forms, but sometimes it's not as user friendly as you'd like.
It happens.
Yeah. If you know anybody looking for veterinarian positions, we've got one of those open, which sometimes people forget. For the city of Newport News, we are running, a shelter for the animals. We are running Newport News Park, which is 7,000 acres. We are running a marina and a golf course. And so sometimes community centers, lose sight of all those cool community outreach positions that are available, that are really dynamic and interesting. Yes, Alan.
So I have a question for you. What is the application process like? So once you submit it, how do you know like what to look forward to next?
So there's good news and bad news. The good news is the city of Newport News is going to be thorough. If you are qualified, you are going to get seen by the department. HR is going to screen you over for minimum qualifications right out the gate. And it's really happening all along the way, right? While the job ad is out there. But once the job ad closes, HR is committed to that department. We will get you all minimally qualified applicants. Our department hiring managers, it might be 2, 3, or 4, are then going to do knowledge, skills, and abilities checks up against those applicants and see who they want to interview. And that's going to be a diverse panel. One of the things that HR is very involved in is that process. So we're vetting interview questions for you guys, making sure they're fair, and that interview is pretty succinct and positive, and it's a straightforward process. But we're also making sure it's a panel of your peers. So what I can tell you is some departments, and I can say this publicly, they do a little better job of setting aside those interview days for their hiring team and making them consistent and moving quickly because they don't want to lose people. And those are IT, finance, some of the admin jobs, your hot jobs, right? Some of your white collar jobs, I would say, probably move a little bit more readily. Trades positions where you have to get people in the field to be a part of the interview process, or people who are already operational managers, that can add to the process. But we're also going to be doing background checks, DMV checks, reference checks, right? So it's a very thorough process, and I've seen it take as little as 2 weeks, and I've seen it take as long as 4 months. But what I can tell you is HR is partnering with the departments all along the way to try to make the process as fair, and expeditious as we possibly can. But the departments really do drive the process. You will know whether you were selected for an interview because you're going to get a personal call, right? And then you will know if the job is being offered to you because HR is going to call you and they're going to make a verbal job offer, and then follow up with a written job offer. Unfortunately, candidates who are not selected for either an interview or a hire, they have to wait for somebody to start in the role, go through all the background processes and come for new hire orientation before they are notified through our system that they are, that the job has closed. And that's unfortunate because if there's 3 positions allocated, all 3 people have to be hired before anybody in that candidate pool knows the pool is closed. And that's not ideal. And we're working on a new system. But I would say is if you're on my job distribution list and we connect, or if you connect with me at any time or call me, I can log into our system real time and let you know, are you a candidate? Were you screened over? Were you not? I can get a snapshot of all the jobs you've applied for, and give you that real time feedback. And if there's a hitch or something going on, I can look into that with the generalist. So I know it's a lot of information because it's a city and it's 30 departments, right? It kind of works differently depending on what's going on. Other than I can tell you, it's always going to be a fair process, with HR being supportive. And one thing that adds a little bit of time is that HR vets the department's salary offer. And we look at your resume and application and make sure you're being paid in totality for all of your ed and experience. And that can take a week because there's about 3 HR people involved and 3 department people involved, and people are busy and coming and going, and they're having Teams chats. It's a whole serious situation. So as a generalist, I took a lot of pride in the fact that I got to fight for people's salaries, right? And I got to have a say in that, and I got to vet that. But it's time consuming. All I can say is it's worth it, and it's an excellent place to work. Fantastic opportunities, super dynamic employee population. So all I can say is it's worth it. But I'm not going to tell you it's generally going to be expeditious.
it sounds like if anything, it's delays for the right reasons, which I think goes a long way too.
Right. And so I know I probably went overboard with that, and applicants might think I'm droning on and on, Alan, but I just really wanted you, it's kind of one of those things, do it right and be thorough. And when you're doing that with all the pieces of the puzzle, with some of these jobs and the licensures and certifications and verifications, it's a process. But so this is what I'd like to share that I think might get y'all's attention. And I just found this out a few weeks ago. The population of our employee group, 3,500 employees, the demographics are almost identical to the demographics of our city. And if you know anything about the city of Newport News, you know it's diverse on many levels, across many areas. And so I have worked for a lot of great employers. I've worked for Omni, I've worked for Marriott, I've worked for Renaissance, I've worked for Fisher and Phillips, I've worked for Riverside, I've worked for York County. None of those employers that I'm aware of, although they had that goal, met that mark where they looked like the community that they served or the population that they served, or the people that they wanted to represent. So the fact that all the hiring managers in the city and that the HR collaboration with those hiring managers has gotten us to a place where we're able to look identical to the city, the very diverse city that we support. I wouldn't say it's miraculous. Maybe Daisy can speak to it. It's pretty awesome. And it means we've been doing things, for a long time, in the right direction. And hiring veterans is a piece of that, a really important piece of that to us, because that's our community.
That's awesome, and I would definitely call it miraculous. I wonder too, speaking of the veteran community and what you've mentioned so far, and I know that you mentioned that there's some great benefits and perks. Is there any initiative or any ways for veterans who are employed by the city to engage through like an ERG or something like that along those lines?
Well, we don't have, are you talking about like for a direct hire sort of thing?
Possibly, just like I guess in general, if someone is a veteran and employed by the city, what sort of maybe like city support systems are there within their employment, like to connect with other veterans or just things like that?
Well, I know that the MSEP, I believe we just got that certification maybe in the last 6 months, and V3 is not new to the city, but in the last year or two. So what I would say is, there are several employee resource groups. There's, Pride Task Force and things like that in the city. I am not aware of a group specifically designated to veterans. I do know a lot of the supervisors and hiring managers throughout the city are personally and professionally connected to veterans groups, right? And so if they're in a mentor role to you, there's definitely going to be those ties and opportunities. There's not a structured one that I'm aware of, because that would have to sit within either HR or the legal department. But I would say that we're really good at sharing resources, whatever they look like. And so one piece that people is overlooked and is underutilized is the employee assistance program. And for us, we made a transition to a new group, ComPsych. And one reason for that was the wellness and the self-improvement focus that ComPsych allowed, but it was also being able to help people to deal with traumas and things that were maybe at a more medically, you know, intense level, I would say, than just your average EAP call. I'm having an argument with my supervisor. We can't work through it. They've got different layers, right? And they're used to the veteran population. And so there are those offerings, but then also you have, as I mentioned, the employee opportunities to get together as an entire group, right? And so I would say for the city, we don't really focus on male, female, veteran. There are some resource groups, but we try not to parse people out into groups. We really try to manage events in a way that everybody feels very welcome. We do have an LGBTQ group, and we're planning a festival, which I'm a part of. I'm very excited about, active in that arena. And we do have the Renew wellness programming, which is always part of, overall wellness. We focus on the 8 dimensions of wellness and offer a lot of self-improvement, professional development courses. So I guess I would just say, Daisy, those are available in robust supply across all groups, but I'm not aware of one specifically that we have right now, an ERG that's focused on the veteran population, but I can double check. And if I find out, I'll share with you.
Yeah, please. I mean, you more than answered the question. I think the short version is that there absolutely are connection resources and a variety of resources, which is fantastic. So that's great to hear.
Yes, and another piece of the puzzle that people forget, private sector doesn't always have the money or support continued education. But you'll find quite often with your public sector employers that there's, pots of money set aside for that. So for individuals that come on board with the city and stay with us, if they wanted to get their, master's or just continue education in any way, we would have tuition reimbursement available to them.
Awesome. Awesome. So I want to take a really quick minute and just remind students there's no pressure, obviously, but if you do want to come off mute and ask questions, you're welcome to. There's also, if you come over here on the side, you can raise your hand and go ahead and ask a question that way. I have plenty of questions, but they will probably be more impactful to you if you were able to ask your own questions. So I definitely encourage that if there are any questions out there. And in the meantime, Amy, one of my favorite questions to ask is actually what would be your best tip for someone who is wanting to work for the city, who wants to apply, who has gone through, your listserv and the website and they're applying. Is there anything that they could do that might get them, kicked out of the application pool immediately, or anything that might get them, would really stand out to you?
Well, I mean, the advice for the city application would be, I'll repeat what I said at the beginning because I know some people have come in and out.
Yeah,
It
please.
is like that USA jobs application or that long resume. You want to not leave anything out because that does impact, one, getting our attention and seeing that you're very holistic and well-rounded, because it matters to us. It matters to us so much that we base your salary off of that to be complete. But then I would just give general advice, which I give to everyone, which is not to rely on the system to do the work for you. I'm a very big believer in traditional ways of contacting employers. And I mean, for lack of a better word, I call it the grind. And so that can look like whatever it looks like to you. It could be going out to that department's website and finding out with economic development what their projects are, then calling them up and getting more details and putting that in your cover letter, because you're going to find out what you have to bring to those projects and get somebody's attention in the cover letter. If you're somebody who's got extra licenses and certifications, or you've gone above and beyond with education, I tell people, don't let the application tie your hands. If it says licensures and certifications and you have none, but you just took, a course that has direct relevancy and you spent hours and hours in that course, maybe you did an independent study, put it on your job application. Just reference it, right, as an education course rather than a licensure or certification. So I tell people, don't let the application really drive the process too much. Try to find ways to still tell your story within that structure, but always look to a cover letter and send the thank you cards. Find out who the person that's represented on the website is, as the director or the CEO, the top person. Send them an email, send them a card and let them know. The worst that can happen is they can delete it, think you're annoying, move on, it goes to spam. The best that can happen is 4 or 5 hiring managers or people that are associated with the process just saw your name because you took the 30 minutes to reach out, to send the emails, to send the thank you cards, to make the phone calls. So I think that people get a little caught up and just click and apply and hoping for the best. And I would say fight for those jobs, contact those people, let yourself be known. I know as a talent acquisition specialist, I am not in a role of influence, and I know that I have to remain neutral, but I've also been a hiring manager for 25 years. So if somebody wows me and stands out to me, you're darn sure right. I'm going to go tell the generalist and I will get their applicant ID, and that generalist can do with that what they will, but I'm going to make sure that I let them know this is a very qualified, motivated, professional, polished applicant, and they're worth a look. And so that is something I don't mind doing at all, if that helps someone.
I love that. I know I'm definitely a huge advocate for thank you notes as well, because it's so, and the term was thank you notes, and realistically these days it's more like thank you emails, but it's so easy to do and it has such an impact and it can really make a difference. So I think that was a great point as well.
Yes, and then the other thing I would recommend is, there's a lot of conflicting information about how to do these resumes, right? What do they look like? How do you get someone's attention? There is truth in the matter that your recruiter might only be looking at it for 7 to 10 seconds. Now, your hiring managers are spending more time, right? But that first look, that first glance is happening really quickly. So my best advice would be have a short resume and a long resume, and know when to use, them. And then the other piece would be, at the top of your resume, ideally, you do not want your last job worked to be the first thing that your employer sees. Maybe not even your education. I would recommend building a skill database, a word cloud, if you will, of all your skills and abilities. And as you apply for jobs, find the 10 or 15 skills and abilities in that job description, or that you bring to the table, and change them out at the top of your resume. And maybe even have templates that you save for different job types that you're pursuing. But I would definitely, make your name a little larger, have some personal stats, your email, your LinkedIn, your phone number. And then the next thing you want that employer to see is all the skills that they're looking for that you bring to the table. So I would sandwich that in between your personal information and your ed experience, or whatever, your objection statement, whatever you've got at the top there.
I love that. One of my favorite things to do or recommend that people do is take maybe 10 or so positions that they like and run them through like ChatGPT and ask what the top skills are. And that way you can get a list and see how you compare, and sort of start to build your resume that way. So I think that's a great suggestion. I love the skills section for sure.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And people, it's like Facebook is for older people. Sometimes they're like, LinkedIn is for older people. No, it's not. If you want to get a job, especially in a professional trade, you should be on LinkedIn. And anybody, that wants to connect with me is welcome to connect with any of my connections. But the piece that's really cool about LinkedIn is they do have some assessments that you can do for free that will show up on your profile, that will be able to validate you bring those to the table. So you don't want to get on with an employer that's looking at your Instagram, or your Facebook. That's not a good employer, because they should not be screening that way or even looking at that information. But LinkedIn is a professional forum, and people are out there recruiting, and we do technical recruitment on LinkedIn. I connect with people who say, they're open to work on their profile, and I try to connect with people every week. And at some level, and I take messages that way from applicants and candidates. So I would definitely say, if you don't have a profile, that would be a great project, would be to build that. And you can just type the industry or the employer you want to work for and start hitting connect.
I love that. And I have to piggyback, because not many people know this, but as an SNHU student, everyone is actually going to have free access to LinkedIn Learning. So if you have a LinkedIn account, which you should, you can absolutely be on LinkedIn, going through those learning processes, getting those, LinkedIn assessments done. And it's kind of fun, honestly. It really is. Maybe that makes me old, but
No, so this is the thing, Daisy. I didn't even know that I was proficient in agile methodologies until LinkedIn told me that I was, and I
yeah.
felt really good about it.
Yeah, honestly. Well, I think
Um,
that's a whole soapbox. I think like learning what skills you have is and how to convey them is hard. So if LinkedIn helps, then by all means.
right, right.
I love that. That's awesome. I do have one other question for you. So something that comes up a lot, I think, especially when it relates to more kind of like in jobs sort of in that government realm. Is it better to, in your opinion, focus on maybe 1 to 3 jobs and really apply for them and focus on them? Or do you think that students will be better served applying for any and all jobs that interest them, that they're qualified for?
Well, you're probably going to get advice, especially from small companies, right, or hiring managers that are sharing a lot of jobs. Don't go in volume, because then it looks like you're not serious about pursuing a certain area within the company, because you kind of got applications all over the place. That's not the case with the city. I would say with the city, quantity, 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 check the boxes. So the first time you apply, or as you apply for those first few jobs, you want to build your profile. You want to make sure it's rich and robust and all your experiences there. But after that, you can apply on your phone. You just check in a box, right? Saying, this is me, this is the job I'm interested in, and move ahead. And so the hiring managers only see the job requisitions that are attached to. So if you apply for 17 different jobs, the experience at a smaller company or, something that's more centralized, you might think, they see me, right? And they see all these applications, but that's not the way our system is designed. And so for me personally, like I said, I applied for 4 different positions with the same Newport News, and I had 4 different interviews. And ironically, I waited 4 months. So you think I would have played that number in the lottery? But I'm a very seasoned HR professional with a lot of experience, and it took some time, right? And it took some patience, so to speak. But I would say quantity. That's just more people seeing you, more opportunities to get on somebody's radar, because some of our jobs, we do have hundreds of applicants. It's just the way that it is with the city. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see someone is typing in the chat as well. If you prefer to ask your question in the chat, you're more than welcome to do that. I can definitely field them to Amy as well. So that is totally y'all's preference.
Guess that was Lupe, and we have Christian joining us.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm just sharing with everyone about the City of Newport News. And Lupe's question is, can we email you individually with our resumes? Definitely. My email is in the chat. And if you do that, I can put you on my job alert distribution list and let you know about jobs in the city. We have internships going at any given moment, part-time jobs, full-time jobs. Obviously, being a large city, we're usually hiring in all in any given area at any given time. Gabriella asked about remote jobs or hybrid jobs. So the cool thing about the city is after the pandemic, we did keep a hybrid model. And so whatever departments or department directors are willing to work within that model, we have maintained those. So I can tell you guys a little bit about them. One is going to be in our human services department, depending on the role that you're in. A lot of individuals in human services only report to the office 1 or 2 days a week. We have several hybrid jobs. So for my position, I work from home at times. Your HR jobs, IT jobs, finance, some of your admin jobs may also be on a hybrid schedule. One of the jobs that people really love is a 5-day-a-week remote job, but as you can imagine, it doesn't come open that often, which is in our communications center. And so basically in the City of Newport News, we have a 311, which is your 911 for information within the city. Where's the bus stop? Where do my kids go to school? Just information for new people. Sometimes it's people that are visually challenged or, challenged with using the computer, that sort of thing. But they actually work from home 5 days a week. So generally that's always going to be evidenced in the career sheet or the job description, or it will be part of the interview process, right? It will be clear to you then. But we definitely do have hybrid and remote jobs. Yes. And so Gabriella's asking if having a second language would put you ahead kind of in the communication center, and definitely, especially as she offers Spanish. So that would be something as an applicant that would really set her apart. So that would be great.
That's awesome. I see some more questions are coming through on the chat, and in the meantime, I'll buy everyone some typing time because this has been a burning question for me. And I know it's random, but why Newport News? Like, how did that name come about? Do you happen to know?
Oh, you're gonna get me, but I think I have it. Hold on, I don't have it memorized, but I know where to find it. So this is something kind of fun. When I go to the job fairs, I wanted to, be able to gamify things. And so we created this, it's a wheel, that you spin.
Sure.
And I think that was one of the questions on there. So let me see if I can find that.
Sure. I mean, if you can't, it's not a big deal, but I'm very curious.
Well, there was kind of an original version of that trivia, and then there was a changed up version. So I definitely have to find the new and improved version. Definitely had it in there. Oh, here it is. Newport News fun facts. One neat thing that Newport News does, I can share with you guys too, is they do what's called a familiarization tour. And now that we have a trolley, instead of going on a bus, they say people might go on our trolley, and they'll take you all around the city, to the War Museum and InView and Lee Hall Mansion, and they take you down to the shipbuilding, all over the city, the park. It's a really cool thing. Newport News. Okay, no one knows for sure. Look, that's why I didn't have the answer. It actually says no one knows for sure. But they think Newports. So I'll share this with you guys. Oh, something's popping up on mine. Yeah, so it looks like it says it first appears as the Virginia Company Records. Oh, it's not going to share it with you guys. So Captain Christopher Newport, commander of Susan Constant, which was the flagship of a 3-ship English fleet that landed on Jamestown Island in 1607, made several voyages to Newport News, bringing, quote, good news of supplies and settlers. So it looks like it was in some records dating back to 1619, and it might be one of the oldest places in the New World.
Wow.
With that spelling with the extra E's.
Sure.
That is our history lesson, people.
I'm glad I asked.
Stay with us. If you don't, we lost you. But
Well-
one neat thing about Newport News is it is entrenched with history, and you see that right through the libraries, even through some of our branding for marketing for candidates. They definitely take a lot of pride and keep that, intertwined through everything we do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, and the plan worked out perfectly too, because in the meantime, John put a question in the chat, and he's just basically asking if someone who was a jet engine technician and a program manager be able to find a place at Newport News.
Sure. So I don't know. Let's see, jet engine tech. All I can think about is automotive tech master heavy shop, because boy, do we need some good automotive technicians right now in our heavy shop, which is really a cool position for the right person. So we do hire project managers and program managers in different areas in the city, John. We've got safety managers, kind of like supervisors within utilities. I mean, I kind of need to see your resume under the program manager component, and I could do a personalized, technical search for you and see what's out there. But we have some neat positions people don't think about. We're about to put out a violence prevention manager job description that's new. We just closed an executive operations manager with the city manager's office. We have emergency operation planners and coordinators. So sometimes people don't think about all those layers, right? So I would love to have you send me your resume so I can dig into the program manager piece and find out more, and we'll see what we can find for you.
I'll share your email again just in case. I think the chat gets grandfathered in, but I'd hate for it to not and for people to miss that. So
okay.
Awesome. Well, we've got 1 minute left. Do you, Amy, no pressure, any final closing thoughts or suggestions, anything you want to do to kind of wrap us up as we all head out to our evenings?
Well, I would just say, for me personally, right, I'm in a different role than the role I was hired in. And I think sometimes as veterans, you might think you need a certain salary, a certain title, a certain challenge, in order to feel fulfilled. And I would just say, look at all the other pieces that Newport News has to offer you. And those things are career ladders. Those things are wonderful, benefits package. Those things are hiring managers and supervisors who care and going to look out for you, the professional development, the personal development, the wellness program. So I would definitely say, get your foot in the door opportunities, look at the internships, look at the part-time jobs, look at those jobs that maybe you think, I can do that easily, right, and readily. Look at those jobs that are a hard reach. I can only do 50% of that job, but boy, it sounds great. I would just say, I don't like the expression think outside the box. So I would say more like think about how to sell yourself and know that becoming a part of our team would be worth it. Whatever investment that looks like you, energy wise or time wise, it's an awesome place to work.
Awesome. I love that. That's a great endorsement. And you ended just on time. So that was perfect. I love it.
Okay.
So I'll thank everyone again for joining us this evening. It was great, Amy, to chat with you. I learned a bunch. I'm sure everyone else did here as well. So excuse me. I hope everyone enjoys their evening, but that is actually the end of the session. And feel free to follow up with Amy either through LinkedIn or her email in the chat. And I hope everyone enjoys their evening.
All these different types of opportunities would go a long way in complementing your educational background. So I would encourage you to make sure that you take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I could right now, but I'm looking to improve my skills.
Yeah. A lot of these students, they go through these academies, right? And they come out at the other end as a full-fledged software engineer. And those jobs, they pay pretty well. I mean, it's mid to high 100s, and that's as a year one developer. So I would encourage you to look into those types of opportunities. There's a great demand for software engineers right now.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Yep, it's called CODA, CODA. And every year, I think we bring in like 300 different associates to join the academy. We typically run more than one class per year, but that's a great opportunity to participate in something that will help you grow a career in this space.
Yeah, can you hear me?
You can. Christine, where are you calling from?
Great, I'm calling from Louisiana.
Louisiana. We're in Louisiana.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah, you got to say it right. Yeah. Back when I was young, I used to do recruiting in Houma, in Slidell, in Metairie, in about half the state of Louisiana. Great times out there. So what brings you out here? What's your question?
So my question is for someone like myself who's a career changer, I'm actually interested in cybersecurity, the actual area of access management. So I'm in Louisiana, and next year I'm looking to relocate to Texas. So I'm interested in more career options that you all have. I did hear you say that you all have auditing, but I know the thing about cybersecurity is such a big field and you want to specialize. So I'm more interested in the access management part of it. So I guess pretty much that's my question. And I guess what advice would you have for me looking to relocate to Texas, as that being a prime location for technology and cybersecurity?
Yeah. Well, it's a good move to move to Texas, right? But where in Texas are you looking to move? Dallas or Austin or Houston?
Yeah, Capital One has a location in Plano. That's the area I'm looking to move into. So that's the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of our associates out in the Plano office. I haven't been to the Plano office, but I've been to the Richmond office in Virginia. And she said it's just like the one in Richmond, right? Where it's almost like a college campus, right? Where you have all the sprawling campus, you have trails and bicycles to ride around the campus, and places to eat, and tree houses to have meetings at. So it sounds like a really delightful kind of environment to both work and make things happen within the company. But Plano is probably our third largest site, aside from McLean and Richmond. So there's lots of opportunities there. We do work in a hybrid environment, and what I mean by that is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are considered in-office days. So you're expected to work in the office those 3 days, and then Mondays and Fridays are what we call enterprise, work from home days. So you get to work from home, those 2 days. If you're looking for a pathway and you've never done anything in cybersecurity, it's going to be a journey for you, because typically even entry level cyber is going to require 3 to 5 years just to be competitive at a corporate level. As you can imagine, the types of systems that we work with and the number of accounts that we have to guard. We really need experienced individuals to lead our cybersecurity efforts. What I can tell you is we do have pathways for a lot of the different roles that we have at Capital One, but they're often associated and tied to our campus programs, right? Our students and grads programs. And like I mentioned earlier, those roles will likely post around July. And anything that we post in July will usually stay open until August. And then interviews will start in the fall, with offers being extended before the holidays to start, in 2025. So I would encourage you all to, if you're looking for a pathway, to explore our students and grads program, right? Just go to CapitalOneCareers.com and look up students and grads program, and then focus on the events that they're hosting, right? Because they're hosting events just like this one, where you get to ask them specific questions about their programs. You get to connect with the recruiters that are looking for the types of candidates for these programs. So that would be a great opportunity for you all to connect with our students and grads programs team.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, good luck, Christine. Jennifer, say something. All right, who's next?
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How you doing? I don't know how that works. I think you have to either press that little button for the microphone to talk.
Yes, I got it. I found it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we're all learning. This is my first time on this platform. Yeah. So do you have a question, Jennifer?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, well, I have a question for you. Where are you at?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta. So we're practically neighbors.
Really?
Yeah. If I jump on I-85, will I hit your neighborhood?
Close to.
Pretty close to it, right? Yeah. So we're neighbors. Yeah. I'm down south here in Alabama right now.
I got a question that may help everyone.
Wait, who's this?
This is Alex on the career advising team. So
hey, what's going
there.
on, Alex?
So just so y'all know, I will post it again, the contact information for the career advising team.
Yeah.
I'll put it in there, but call or email anytime. We can talk about Capital One. We can talk about your career goals and, plans, make plans, and all the different resources we have and Capital One does. But the question I have that maybe you can share with everyone is these y'all are one of the companies that we meet, so many companies with one of the most robust like student and recent grad programs that I've ever seen. So what is the deadline to apply? And then do you got to be an active student, or are recent grads also welcome to apply, or how does that work?
That's a great question. Typically the openings, the announcements, the job postings, if you will, for our campus programs will be posted on our career site during the month of July and August. So once it closes out, right, what we're looking for is a graduate or a soon-to-be graduate, right? So your question is, hey, if I graduated 5 years ago, can I still apply? And the answer to that is yes, right? Or 10 years ago, right? Or 15 years ago. Now, I will be straight up with you. Will there be a difference between somebody who graduated 5 years ago versus somebody who just recently graduated? Probably yes, right? But we look at the totality, right? I mean, what have you done since you graduated with that degree? Maybe you worked into space, and it gives you a greater depth of experience that we might want to bring into that role. So the fact that you have a degree, regardless of when you completed it, or the fact that you may be about to complete it within the time frame before the internship starts, is what we look for as far as eligibility for the internship. Now, I will tell you, interviews will start promptly during September and October, with offers being made before the holidays. So that's always exciting. And I think we brought in something like 17 17 vets just for our graduate programs, and probably about double that for our internship programs, which to me was very good, considering it's a very competitive type of program. But the thing to keep in mind is Capital One. I mean, these are paid internships, right? So don't think you're going to go without an income for those 10 weeks that you're doing an internship. And the other thing to keep in mind is that once you complete the internship, if you complete it successfully and they like what you accomplished during that internship, they offer you what they call a returnship, so that you have an offer of employment, so that when you graduate school, if you're still in school, to come back to Capital One. So that's an incredible opportunity to complement, augment, the education that you're receiving, through Southern. So that's I can't overemphasize that. To avail yourself, whether it's through our company or any other of the other companies that are offering these types of opportunities. You really need to leverage those. Okay, let me.
Hello?
Alawi?
Yeah, my name is Abubakar. You can call me Malik though. I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm very familiar with the Richmond one because I graduated from VCU. So the Capital One branch in Richmond is like 5-10 minutes away from my campus. And then right now I currently live in DC, so I'm kind of familiar with the McLean one. But my question is, so I'm currently. Wait, can you hear me well?
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like you're outdoors.
Yeah, sorry. I just left work, so
It's okay. That's okay. Yeah, just speak up or closer to the phone.
All right, give me 1 second. Is this better?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, much better.
All right. Sounds good. Sorry about that. Yeah. So
Go ahead.
I'm currently as I said, I'm currently looking into transitioning into another, because I'm currently working in the public sector. So I work with the United States Attorney's Office in DC. So I kind of I've been talking to my brother and talking to my friends, and I've been interested in Capital One for some time, and I've been trying to get into the strategic roles or the legal fields. And I was wondering if you have any advice onto doing that.
Well, when you say, did you say strategic fields?
Strategic roles, because I saw Capital One for some time. I saw they have some opening for manager in strategy and analytics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about doing things like that because my major is political science. I concentrated in politics and government. Politics and government, and then I have another one in homeland security, emergency preparation, which we did a lot of strategic stuff like risk management, risk assessment, all of that. So I've been wanting to lean more into that and kind of practice into that because I'm also an open source analyst. So I've been wanting to kind of venture into that, and I was just wondering what are steps I could take to make my my resume look appealing to HR, the hiring managers.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the question. One of the first pieces of advice I would give you is to think big, but start small, right? Because without the required experience, you're not going to compete well for a lot of these manager type roles, at least not initially, right? So
yeah,
it's so important that you set your expectations. If you're willing to put in the work and learn and grow with the company, then those management opportunities will be aspirational roles that you can grow into and such. But no, I mean, if you were to start small, right, you have to be aware of all the different levels that exist within the company. And if you go to any one of our job openings right now, you're going to see down at the bottom it says career journey, and there's a graphic there, right? And it usually starts with coordinator level, right? Coordinator level is what I consider to be a early career type of opportunity. It doesn't require a lot of experience. There's going to be lots of opportunities to learn and grow. Because it doesn't require a lot of experience, the pay is going to be reflective of that, right? So
Yeah.
if it makes career sense and financial sense for you to start out at a coordinator level role, focus on those types of roles that, let's say, are in the Richmond area, or even in the McLean area. We have a bus, a charter bus that goes to from McLean to Richmond every day. I think it's 2 buses, right? So yeah, it's a commute and stuff, but hey, you only have to be in the office 3 days a week.
I mean, the McLean office is like 10 minutes from where I live.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And we got the metro there now too. So yeah. And if you have an e-bike, you can take it. You can beat the traffic, man. But no, I mean, look at those types of roles that will say either specialist or coordinator, and those are usually entry level. As you look at those careers, you're going to see the job responsibilities, and then you're going to see what they call the basic qualifications. For any role that you apply to, you have to meet the basic qualifications. You can't sort of meet them or almost meet them. You have to meet all of the basic qualifications. If it lists 3 basic qualifications, you have to meet all 3. Okay. Now, there's what we also call the preferred qualifications. Those you don't necessarily need to meet, but the more preferred qualifications that you do meet, the better your chances are of getting a call back from one of the recruiters expressing interest in learning more about your background and seeing if you're going to be a good fit for the role. So I would focus on those where, in short, where it meets your experience level where you're at today in your career, that it meets, your location preferences, whether McLean or Richmond. And then third, just making sure that you're crushing those qualifications, on the applications that you submit, because I think those are the ones that will give you the better chances of joining our team.
For the qualifications, right? Because like with the roles that I'm looking at, for this one, for example, right? It says like I need like 2 years worth of like leadership experience. Do you guys look for it in like the corporate setting, or would it be like a public, like for a role like mine, if I had leadership experience, would that also work?
Leadership can be defined in a couple of ways, right? There's people leadership where, let's say you were a supervisor or manager, and you had direct reports working for you. That's people leadership, right? So that could be part of it. But the other thing could be also program leadership, right? Where you led a program and you led a team. They may not have been your direct reports, but they were responsible, for their service delivery, to complete whatever program or project that you were responsible for. So if you fit into any one of those categories, I would say you check that box for leadership.
Okay, because I mean I do have some, but I was just curious because I was just like, because sometimes when I'd apply, I would be hesitant because I wouldn't understand what it meant, like if it meant in a corporate environment, and I was just like, I just have it in. Well, I mean, with the job that I have right now, so that's what kind of I wanted more clarifications on that. And then lastly, right?
How would you describe leadership in the job that you're in right now?
Well, right now I manage a team of like 5 legal assistants.
Okay.
So
yeah.
And then we kind of like I'm just like the leader where I kind of report to my boss, and we help the head attorney, the head attorney, and basically that's the best way I can kind of describe it. I see what they do, like I kind of tell them I need these type of documents, and then I listen to the attorneys. I try to make a formation plan, XYZ, So
No, I get it. It's funny. You're familiar with McLean, right? The Hilton corporate office is right across the street from Capital One, and that's where I used to, hang my hat at for 8 years. And one of my good friends and veterans and and recruiters moved over and started working in their legal department, and now she's like in charge of what do you call it, all their labor negotiations, with unions and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she says, hey, I might as well become an attorney. So she's applying to law school to pursue that option. But it's all businesses, they're going to need an IT department, they're going to need a communications team, and they will need a logistics team, and they'll need a legal department.
So true.
Okay.
I would say if you stay there in the National Capital Region, I don't think you'll have a problem, transitioning over from public to the private sector.
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Jake Burnett. I am finished with SNHU about a year ago. I did a IT, cybersecurity, and management degree, and I currently work in cybersecurity. I'm a cybersecurity engineer for the government. And actually, Capital One is one of the companies that I wanted to jump on this, interested in. Can you walk through, and I apologize if you've covered this, I noticed people have been jumping in and out, but can you walk through the application process from the moment a candidate has spotted a position that they're interested in and they submit their application online? Can you walk through, is it human or computer analyzed? Do people look at it? What happens next? And what does that process look? How many steps are there?
No, I appreciate the question, Jake. I can assure you that we're all human at Capital One. We have 400 recruiters at Capital One. It used to be a lot more, but we're not hiring as many as we hired a couple of years ago. But that number is ticking up, right? Like I think at last count, the beginning of this month, we had something like 1,300 job openings, right? Last year would have been 400, right? But 2 years ago, it would have been more like 4,000 jobs opening, right? So yeah, I'll walk you through two paths, Jake. One where you're not only interested, but you're qualified. Let's say you're overqualified for the job, right? You meet all the basic and a lot of the preferred qualifications, right? Everything seems to align, right? The experience level is right up your alley. It's on par with where you're at in your career today, and you submit that application, right? I'm going to say almost tailor-made your resume to speak to the competencies that we're looking for in that job position, right? Very first thing that you're going to do, right, is you're going to answer what they call a series of I call them knockout questions, right? Because if you answer no to any one of these questions, right, like, hey, it asks you for, hey, do you have this X experience, and you answer no, and the job requires it, it's going to knock you out. So no human has to knock you out. The computer will knock you out automatically. Does that help you there understand that?
That yes, sir. That's part of it.
All right. So that's where you yourself self-eliminated because you answered no to one of the required qualifications, right? The other path is where, hey, you answered yes, you meet all the qualifications plus some of the preferred qualifications, right? Now what happens is the recruiter will do one of two things. Either they'll wait till they have a considerable number of candidates for that role, depending on how many job openings they might have, right? Before they begin screening those applicants, right? Now, based on those screenings, right, the initial screening, reviewing the way you answered the questions and your resume, making sure it speaks to the job, you may need to take an assessment. Okay, now that assessment is a pass or fail, right? If you pass it, that means the recruiter will receive notification that you pass it, and then they can proceed with, let's say, getting you on the phone to do a pre-screening, right? Finding out what your needs and wants are, and what your career goals are, just to make sure that we're aligned, and that they get a better sense of your background. Okay, but if you fail that assessment, then there is no the application ends right there. Okay. Typically, when you fail an assessment, you have to wait 6 months before you could, reapply to that type of position, because essentially you'll be taking the same assessment. If it's a different role, it might be a different type of assessment. These pre-assessments are determined to kind of gauge how well you would perform in the job if you were what do you call it? Pressed on and forwarded your application to a hiring manager. Now, I will tell you, if we're only hiring for one position, right, and we have I'll just pick a number. Let's say 1,000 applicants for one position. It's going to be ultra competitive in that space. So oftentimes, what we'll do is we'll look at those that absolutely meet all the basic qualifications, along with all the preferred qualifications. Those will usually, get that call back first, right? So we have what we call the best qualified applicant, right? And the best qualified applicants are usually the ones that are moved on in the process, which typically involves speaking to a hiring manager. Now, if that hiring manager interviews, let's say 3 or 4 individuals, they can proceed to what we call a power day. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. Some other companies call it a super day, but basically what it is one day where you're devoted to taking care of all your interviews, and it's usually a round robin kind of approach, where you may be doing a virtual job interview with one interviewer. You may be doing let's say a case study with another one, and then you may be doing a behavioral interview with another individual. Those power days are kind of the pinnacle for our hiring process, and it kind of helps us determine, hey, out of all these individuals that interviewed and did their power day and made it this far, passing all the assessments, now it's going to be up to the hiring manager to decide who gets selected in that process. So that's kind of it, in a nutshell. Jake, I hope that begins to answer your question. But
Yes, sir, if I can ask one more follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say a candidate gets into that power group but is not selected. Is there any crossover to other roles that they may not have applied to? So I know, for example, in cybersecurity, there are, you have cybersecurity engineers and you have policy folks, and you have, there's different roles that a lot of skills overlap. Is anybody referred to other teams or other hiring managers, or do they need to reapply?
Okay, so I mean that's a great question. Oftentimes when that happens, it's usually before the power day. As you're being assessed, let's say I'm the hiring manager. I'm like, hey Jake, I don't see you as a fit for this role, but I got this other role that you might be interested in. I'll run it by you to see if it aligns. So those scenarios do happen. On the flip side, right? After a power day, do we look at our let's call you the silver medalist, right? You weren't selected for the gold, if you will, but you wowed everybody. You nailed the interview, which we had 2 openings, but we only have 1. Can we look at you for another role? Absolutely, yeah. And that's one thing. If we do it smart, right? We that's what we aim to do, so that you don't have to, do the same kind of power day, right? Because essentially you're going to be asked the same questions, right? Behavioral questions will probably be the same. The case study might be similar, right? So yeah, it's something that we look at, especially if it's related to the same job family.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'll be looking for your application, Jake.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Hey, you guys can follow me on LinkedIn too, and feel free to connect with me there. be happy to continue the conversation offline.
My question is
Robert.
about. I'm currently in Alabama.
Hey, where? Roll Tide.
Yeah, I'm actually near Tuscaloosa, so
yeah,
I would have questions about would I have to transfer from Alabama to a location for Capital One?
Yeah, Robert, 99.9% of our jobs are hybrid, right? And basically, you would have to work at one of our people centers, Virginia, New York, Chicago, Texas, one of our people centers. So the short of it is yes.
All right. There's a couple questions in the chat here too. One of them was for internships.
Hey, somebody wants me to post my LinkedIn. So I'm on a Mac computer. So I'm gonna do my best to do that. But if you can find me out there and post it in the chat, that would be great because I have no idea how to use this Mac computer.
All right, we got a couple questions in the chat. One of them is fairly simple. If someone's a student and a recent grad and a veteran, who do they talk to? They apply to both, really. And then the other question is, someone's seen an internship, but it's saying that they want the student to be actively enrolled at a couple different colleges. Are they only accepting people from those colleges for the internship?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what the job announcement says,
right. Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I mean, the Capital One has certain relationships with a number of colleges, especially with HBCUs and HSIs. So we've made a commitment, with those schools to work with their students. But a lot of our internships are not exclusive to schools. We're looking more towards the totality of the individual's background, right? It's not enough sometimes. Yeah, I'm majoring in computer science and hope that you can get let's say an internship in as a programmer, right? It's what are you doing in addition to that? Maybe you worked on special projects. Maybe you did an internship. Maybe you worked on the side doing certain software development work, whether it's front end or back end or full stack. We look at the entire breadth and depth of the person's background, and making those selections. But yeah, I mean, lots of opportunities. And again, the best source that I could tell you to do is to go out to our career page under events that's listed under students and grads. Punch up one of those events because you'll get a chance to actually talk to the recruiters that are managing those individual programs. I'm more focused on professional hires. So what does that mean? I'm really looking for those that are already in this space, right? Perhaps they're already doing software engineering. Perhaps they're already doing cybersecurity. Perhaps they're already doing product management or data science or data analytics or machine learning, right? That's more my focus.
All right. I'm going to post the link to the events, the Capital One events.
Yeah.
One last question. It's a Virginia Values Veterans event, right? So are there any specifically veteran hiring programs or recruiters at Capital One that people can kind of reach out to through LinkedIn or at these events?
Okay. So I'm gonna, you got my email, right? Can you post my email?
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone put your LinkedIn in there too.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my email is my first name dot last name at capitalone.com. So that should be easy to remember, folks. Right? Okay. So there's only one military recruiter at Capital One. His name is Rick McManigal. You'll find him on LinkedIn. But his email address is patrick.mcmanigal. And don't ask me to spell McManigal. You'll have to figure that one out. But Rick is our only military recruiter, right? So he does not have the bandwidth to do individual coaching for candidates, right? He's more on the sourcing side. But if you have interest in one of our positions and you align well, drop them a line and see if he'll connect with you and walk you through the next steps. I will tell you that even though he's the only military recruiter, part of my job is to educate all 400 of the other recruiters on what to do when they have a military resume cross their screen, or when they have a military veteran on the phone and they're trying to screen them and trying to converse. They don't understand military, and you don't understand our company lingo. So I'm trying to play matchmaker here and stuff, and making sure that they have the know-how and the tools and the resources to connect with y'all. Now, we also do events, typically with Hiring Our Heroes and with Virginia Values Veterans. I know Fairfax County, they're in Virginia. There's 80,000 veterans in Fairfax County, where our headquarters is located at. And in January of this year, they hosted right there at our doorsteps, right there at Capital One Hall, a tech and cyber event for those veterans that are in that space, to connect with not only with our company, but other companies in the Fairfax County area, offering these types of opportunities for tech and cyber professionals and stuff. So the short of it is that, hey, there's a lot of companies looking to hire a military. You just have to leverage all the different opportunities that are out there. Hiring Our Heroes is one good organization to connect with. Another one is 4 Block. If you've ever heard of them, 4 Block is a good organization to connect with. 50 Strong is another one. And there's another one that we're just beginning to partner with, and I'm very excited to partner with them. And they're called Corporate America Supports You, CASY, CASY. They also run a site called Vet Jobs. I would encourage you to connect with them if you're looking to leverage their network of companies, their coalition of different corporations that are all looking to hire veterans and stuff, right? And the list goes on and on. There's so many out there. So you owe it to yourself to really use that time and leverage those connections, including Jim. Jim's a library of different resources that he can make available to you as well.
Yeah, thanks, AB. Hey, listen, thanks for coming on out and spending all this time with our military community here at Southern New Hampshire University. We really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, and we're super excited. Like I said, thanks for sharing all this wonderful information. I was bopping around this evening, so I appreciate the time you've taken, and to our students and alum and that are here, thank you all for attending. Thank you for your service and sacrifices. And I'm sure AB shared his personal information in the chat somewhere, or dropped it in. If not, reach out to me, and I can get you connected over to AB at Capital One. We really appreciate you all coming on out and spending some time with us tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jim. Yeah, and last word is we can't hire everybody, but we can help everyone, right? And that helps sometimes. Maybe it's a referral, maybe it's help with your resume, maybe it's some tips and stuff. But whatever it is you all need, don't let the conversation end tonight. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Good luck.
Yeah.
All right.